In this video, I'm gonna show you exactly how I arranged Johnny B. Goode. This video has been doing really well. It's been getting a lot of traction and many of you have been asking for the tabs. So I decided to jump on the momentum and not only transcribe everything, but also I will walk you through the process that was behind this arrangement. Each part of the song offers something valuable in terms of arranging for fingerstyle guitar, so I'm gonna break it down section by section. What I've done here is take one of the most iconic guitar riffs of all time, pretty much note for note, and on top of that I added two different layers, bass and percussion. And this of course is to get the sound of a full band out of my acoustic guitar. For my arrangement, I didn't actually use the Chuck Berry original version. Instead, I based my arrangement on the Marty McFly version from Back to the Future. I grew up watching that movie, so when I think of Johnny B. Goode, that's the version that really stuck in my head. I played the song in the key of A, even though I know that the original one is in B flat, and the reason for that is very simple. It's, in A it's much more guitar friendly rather than in B flat, because you've got open strings. You got A open string, D open string, and E open string. So basically you got all the three main chords right under your fingers, and that's really the secret behind this arrangement. The fact that I can actually play all the three root notes of the chords of the standard blues progression with open strings. And this allows me, and if you'll try to learn it, it will allow you to play the three chords with ease, pretty much effortlessly. Alright, let's talk about the verse. So here at first, I thought about using Travis speaking, which, by the way, I ended up using later in the second verse. But while I was practicing, I realized, man, this is a rock and roll song, and so I felt like I needed that kind of energy. So I came up with this kind of rock and roll fingerstyle groove. And it's pretty much a blend of two different things. The classic rock and roll riff we all know and love, something like... and the vocal melody that goes like... something like this. So what I do is I pluck the bass note with my thumb, strum and hit on beats 2 and 4 with my index finger for the comping and the riff, and pluck the melody with my middle and ring finger, mostly middle finger. So sometimes, of course, those overlap. For example, on beats 2 and 4, when I hit, the melody is played with the strum. So now I'll play the verse at a slow tempo so you can follow along, and then I'll talk to you about the chorus. Now, on to the chorus. The concept here is really the same. We keep the same rock and roll rhythm under the melody, but here we're adding a new layer. And it's an answering phrase that in the original version is played by the electric guitar. So the melody goes like... and then the guitar responds... Toward the end of the chorus, I came up with a little phrase that sounds like this. So I play this part very, very slowly, and this is really, really important. Why? Because if you keep the same dynamic intensity, meaning the same that you were playing before in the chorus, the phrase will just blend in with the rest. Instead, by lowering the volume, you signal to the listener that this is something different. It's more of a bridge or maybe a transition rather than the main theme. So now I'm gonna play the full chorus slowly so you can follow along, and then we'll look at verse 2. In the second verse, I finally bring in the Travis picking I mentioned earlier. So why do I change style here? Well, one of the most important principles in solo arranging for guitar is to avoid repetition at all costs. So if you keep doing the same thing just by basically cutting and pasting, the listener will just get bored. And especially since you don't have vocals or a band to add variety, you will lose interest in your listeners. So that's the reason why I switched to Travis picking here. It changes the vibe completely after a full verse and chorus of rock and roll. And yeah, and I also played this one very staccato, meaning with very short notes. And that's, again, to create contrast between the two sections. After this, we head back to chorus 2, which is mostly the same thing as the first chorus. So in this case, I come back to the rock and roll riff because after giving the listener something fresh and something new to listen to, it's nice to bring back the rock and roll energy. It just, gives the whole arrangement a sense of drive and momentum. Now I'll play the second verse and then we'll jump into the solo section. Now for the solo, I stayed as close as possible to Chuck Berry's original solo. The goal was to basically capture the exact same attitude and, bring it to fingerstyle guitar. So again, I played the melody with my fingers, bass in 8th note with my thumb, and I added percussion on beats 2 and 4. Now, a couple of things to mention. There are some aggressive accent in here because, in the original version, you got a whole band just like hitting hard in those moments. So I tried to reflect that in my arrangement on the acoustic guitar. Overall, this section is really no joke. You're playing at a very fast tempo with melody, rhythm, bass, percussion. It's demanding. So my recommendation here would be practice with a metronome, absolutely, and slowly work it up to full speed. Dedicate even entire long sessions, maybe 30-minute sessions, only to practice this particular solo and get to a point where it feels and where it flows naturally. So, here's the solo at a slow tempo. I kind of went back to the first verse approach, but this time I focused even more on being true to the vocal melody that in this case it changes a bit. So beyond that, to add like a little more interest to the whole thing, I softened the dynamics of my playing, because after the aggressive solo, it's nice to, you know, bring down the intensity quite a bit and so let the arrangement breathe, so to speak. Other than that, the technique here is pretty much the same, so I won't demo it here, and instead let's move on to the final chorus. For the last chorus, I wanted to do something fresh, something different from the first two, of course. And one simple but really powerful trick is to take the entire part and basically move it up one octave. So this will give the arrangement a brand new sound without changing too much, without inventing anything new. That said, when you move everything up one octave, of course the fingerings and position will completely change. So you'll need to relearn everything from scratch. And I know it's more work, but you know, it's well worth it, because it adds that final, you know, that final lift before the very ending. Speaking of the ending, there's a little secret I want to share with you. When arranging for fingerstyle guitar, especially when you want to be entertaining, you want to start strong and finish even stronger. And that's just how you keep your audience engaged throughout the whole piece. So I came up with this final lick that's a crescendo that's building the intensity up until we hit the climax. So now I will play the last chorus and the ending slowly, and then I will leave you with some final thoughts and some practice tips. Now, if you're working on this arrangement, there are a few final tips. Number one, be patient. You won't learn this one in just one day. It might take a month, maybe 6 months, maybe 1 year, but just don't quit. Number two, it's all about the journey and not the destination, meaning every time you pick up your guitar, you're getting closer and closer to the result, but just don't focus on the result. You're gonna, learn so many things, and just enjoy the process, as that's the real value of studying and practicing. It's about the journey, not the destination. Number three, use your ear. I mean, tabs are a great tool, but the more you train your ear, the more you'll grow as a musician. So just try to learn this one using your ear. And if you want the tabs for this arrangement, of course, they're available in the description down below. There's a link, you can enjoy the tabs, but it's nice to try to learn it by ear. That said, thank you again for watching till the end. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Ciao!